What's good, NBA fans? Welcome to the High on Hoops podcast. This is Nick Massioli, and joining me is my co-host Steven Hendrickson. Steve, how you doing tonight?
Nick, I'm doing good, man. I'm just enjoying another great night in the NBA.
It is a great night in the NBA, and we're in January now. New Year came around. Normally, this is the point in the NBA season where things start to get a little stagnant, stagger a little bit. Some may call it the dog days of the NBA season, but this year's a little different, in my opinion. I'd say it's probably been one of the most exciting midseason stretches in years. You have anything to say about that, Steve?
Yeah, man. There's been a ton of great individual performances, making it a much watch every night. It's crazy team storylines and super tight standings in the NBA. Like, just for example, the top five in the East is separated by 3 games. The top five in the West is separated by no more than 3.5 games. Like, it's a crazy, crazy year, and there's been a lot of parity.
Yeah, no, definitely parity is the word I would use for this. Like you said, it's so tight in the standings. We're starting to have a little bit more of like tiering go on a little bit. You have your top five in the East, you have the play-in crowd. Same thing in the West. You got your top few teams, you got the play-in crowd. But overall, like you said, very, very close. 5 game separation between the play-in and the top of the standings. And it really does speak to the parity, the level of parity in the league now. And just going along with that, like you said, some individual performances. I mean, had 71 from Donovan Mitchell. It's ridiculous. It's insane. On the same night, 54 from Clay. We don't even talk about it. I don't think I've heard one person talk about it other than like, hey, Clay had another big game. Like he's maybe coming back, which we'll get to Clay. I mean, Clay. We have fondness for Clay.
That's
But
exactly right, Nick. That's exactly right. And in the same game that Donovan dropped 71, DeMar DeRozan dropped a casual 44, and no one said
44.
a word.
It's 44. I mean, it's 44. It's not 45. I mean, you don't get over that 45 mark at this point. I mean, yeah. I mean, and then that's just the past week. I mean, we had Laurie Markkinen career high 49 points. I mean, you have LeBron dropping 47 on his 38th birthday, literally a
Crazy.
superhuman alien, not from planet
Crazy.
Earth. I mean, we actually talked about LeBron earlier in the season. I'm just like, man, I don't know. He might be slowing down. You're just like, chill. You're just like, it's November, bro.
It's
Like,
LeBron. He's resting. He's
it's
resting.
LeBron. No, yeah, LeBron. I mean, same thing as last year when AD went out. He just turns it up when he needs it. But they definitely need it right now. But we'll get to the West. But I mean, yeah, I mean, it speaks to all the like you said, it's a must watch every night. There's always a reason to watch the NBA, and it never really was totally like this. Even a few years ago, even 2, 3 years ago, it really never was to the point where like, oh, it's the middle of the winter, NFL is on, playoffs are coming around for the NFL. This is kind of when the NBA would normally take a back seat, but I would definitely argue that that has not been the case this year whatsoever at all. And
Yeah, that's
just like
right.
it's really just insane. Between the individual performances that we spoke about, there's storylines with every team. You could really look at every team and you could really pick out a few things that you're like, this is a very fascinating thing that has gone under the radar. In a normal year, it would be like top of the headlines every week. I mean, we have Rudy in Minnesota. We know what's going on with Rudy, but I mean, definitely hasn't panned out as people would expect it. But you have Rudy in Minnesota. You have the Heat kind of coming back to life. You have the Celtics and the Bucks struggling a little bit after a hot start. There's so many things going on. The Warriors keeping it afloat without Steph. There's really something to turn to every night, and there's really no off night in the NBA anymore.
I know. It's there every single night. There's something you can look at. You can turn on the Rockets, the worst team in the league by
I
any
love the
standard
Rockets.
right
I
now.
love the Rockets.
Turn
Yeah.
on the Rockets. You can watch Jalen Green. You can watch Alperen Şengün, or many little Jokic that we have over there in
Don't get
Houston.
me started on Sengun, bro. I'll be talking about Sengun all night.
I know. And actually, that's why we're gonna move on here.
Yeah, we don't want to get
We've
too
talked
caught up. Yeah.
about we've talked about everything that's just going on in the NBA landscape right now. But today's episode, the focus is going to be in the top Eastern Conference contenders.
Oh
Now,
yeah.
Nick, I have my five who I think are the top of the East. Do you have the same five as me?
I think it's safe to say I probably have the same five. I mean, here and there, you could get a little crazy. Yeah, I mean, we'll just say the five right now. We got the Bucks, we got the Celtics, we got the Nets, we got the Sixers, we got the Cavs, and that's strictly off standings, yes, but it's also there's a separation there. I mean, you could see there's a little bit of a divide there. You have the Knicks, the Pacers, Heat, solid teams. The Bulls are in there; they're coming back up. You know, you got solid teams, but there really is a clear cut. If I want to talk about who I think can really go to the finals this year, there's probably five teams there. I mean, maybe you can get a little frisky and talk about the Heat. You know, I mean, they're
Yeah,
one of those teams. You know, the veteran laden team. They don't really care about the regular season. Udonis Haslem is telling them every night, he's like, it's some bullshit. We'll be there. We'll be there in June. So I mean, you know, they've been around the block, so you can never count them out fully. But we're gonna focus on that top five. So Steve, you wanna start off with any particular team?
yeah. I'm actually going to start off with the Milwaukee Bucks.
Okay,
Milwaukee Bucks.
solid choice. They got a
They,
really good player there, right? They got some.
yeah,
They
they.
got some guy. He's really good, right?
I forget. I think he's from France, or
Something
is
like
it?
that. It's something. It
Oh,
might
oh.
be.
You know what? I know who it is. I know who it is. It's Chris, right? It's Chris Middleton.
Yeah, of course. Obviously. Who else are we talking about? No, right.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. We got the Greek
No,
freak over there in Milwaukee. Right, right.
that's right.
But
That's
yeah.
right.
So
Giannis Antetokounmpo, man. He is a spectacle. He is a spectacle.
he is. He is
He's probably the most dominant player in the NBA right now. I mean, he's
easily.
coming off like he has two MVPs at the moment. He has a championship, a Finals MVP. Like Giannis Antetokounmpo is arguably the top player in the NBA. That's a discussion for another day.
Right,
But
right. We don't want
the
to get into
Bucks
that right now.
the Bucks as of late, they have been a little bit disappointing. Honestly, they've been
Yeah.
disappointing. Their defense has been so for what we come to expect of the Bucks. Their perimeter has been exposed. Drew Holiday's been in and out of the lineup. Chris Middleton, we know, is just getting back to the lineup, but I mean, they're having a tough time on the defensive side of the ball right now. And offensively, there's no plan in place for the Bucks right now. The plan is Giannis get to the rim or we don't score at all right now, which is not great. And Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton not being healthy is not helping, but they need to see a little bit more production from the outskirts of the team. I mean, Brook Lopez has been great all year. Don't get me wrong. Bobby Portis is having a great year off the bench, but other than that, they really have nothing going for them.
Right.
You want to piggyback a little bit off of that, Nick?
No, yeah, for sure. I mean, what I was going to say is that it really has been a far cry from the start of the season, which I would argue was kind of the opposite. You know, they had a really hot start. What were they like? 9-0, 10-0,
Yeah,
something, or like something
something
like
like
that.
that.
Something crazy. Very few losses, very much wins for an early
Yeah,
season record. But anyway, I mean, it's kind of the flip side now. I mean, because at the beginning of the season, you're like, oh wow, Bucks starting out hot, defense is rolling. Chris Middleton's not back yet, and you were like, "Oh man, like wait for this team to pull together, and it's going to get scary." I mean, you had Pat Connaughton is always hitting big shots, you know, your boy from Notre Dame out there. But I mean,
that's my guy.
you got Grayson Allen. I mean, I'm a big Grayson Allen guy. I know it's not the most popular guy, but now when you said back then, you're like, "Oh man, these guys are rolling. Wait till Chris Middleton gets back." There's your problem. Chris Middleton's back, but Chris Middleton, the real Chris Middleton, has not yet stood up. He's not back. And that's the problem with this team. That's where I start to get a little worried with this team. Because, like I said, I love my Pat Connaughtons. I love my Grayson Allens. Great Bucks guys. I think that's who do you want around Giannis? You want to kick it out to the corner. And one of those guys, they hit big shots. Like, that's what they're there for. I've seen it countless times. But when Grayson Allen becomes the guy that you're like in that Chris Middleton spot, that's very dangerous. That's extremely, extremely frightening. We're talking about playoff implications. I mean, you need Chris Middleton at that 100%. And I know it's easy to say, well, he's on the roster. He's going to be back, but he's been back. We're halfway through. Time is ticking now. Now is a time where you're starting to get a little, all right, like he's got to get it going. You want him to be rolling by the playoffs. You don't want him to be coming out fresh. Well, you want him to be fresh, but you don't want him to be coming out starting from square one first round of the playoffs because then you're fighting an uphill battle there. So, like I said, I love the guys around him. I love Bobby Portis, great player. I love Grayson Allen, Pat Connaughton, but you need them to be your ancillary guys. You cannot be relying on Grayson Allen to hit you big shots in the playoffs because playoffs come around. He's not going to do it. He's not going to do it unless you're at home. You're on the road. This is when you need these guys like Chris Middleton. So they're in a good spot. I mean, don't get me wrong. Top three in the East. There's nothing wrong with where they are now. It's the midseason, like we said. There's midseason woes. This happens to every team, but they really need to start getting their guys healthy, get their guys straight because they're going to need them come playoff time.
Exactly. It's a stars league. You need your stars to win at the biggest moments of the season. That includes just the first round of the playoffs, second round of the playoffs, the finals. It doesn't matter. You need your stars. So talk to me in a month. We'll see where Chris
Right.
Middleton's at. We'll see where Drew Holiday is at. We'll get a vibe of how they're looking going into the All Star break.
I totally agree. That's where I'm at with them. Talk to me in a month. Couldn't have said it better
Exactly.
myself. Not worried about them.
Exactly.
They're right where they want to be. It's the regular season right now. They're right up there. They're right at the top. Quick 5 game stretch, and they could be separating themselves already. So talk to me in a month about the Bucks. I agree with that one. So we'll talk about a team kind of in the same situation here. We got the Boston Celtics. Very hot start, extremely hot start. Turn of the new year, opposite of last year. Actually, they were struggling,
Very
and then they
opposite.
hit it off. This year, hitting it off, and now they're hitting a few blockades here. But you got anything to say about the Celtics, Steve?
The Celtics, you know, they improved their team in the offseason. They brought in Malcolm Brogdon, who I
We,
think
we
is me and
we've
you have
had many conversations about this guy.
we've
Yes,
discussed Malcolm Brogdon ad nauseum, but I mean Malcolm Brogdon is just such a great piece for the Celtics team. He fits in seamlessly. You have Marcus Smart, you have Derek White, you have Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Al Horford, Robert Williams is just getting back. Like this is an amazing basketball team that we have. This is
incredible.
an amazing basketball team. I'm not too worried about them right now. Like Robert Williams hasn't been back more than a few weeks, and he's been in and out of the lineup. That could be an issue down the line, but I don't think it's going to be an issue. Um, Marcus Smart has been great all year. Malcolm Brogdon has been a six-man of the year candidate. Derek White's perfect in his role. I mean, you have Jason Tatum averaging 30 a game, Jaylen Brown averaging 26 to 27 points a game. Like
Near 30. Yeah, for
you have
sure.
everything you need to win a championship with this team. I just I think if it came down to it between the Bucks and the Celtics, the first two teams that we spoke about right now, I still trust the Bucks just a little bit more, considering you have Giannis Antetokounmpo, who arguably is the greatest player on the planet right now. I'm not saying that Jason Tatum doesn't deserve to be in the MVP conversation because he very much does, but I don't know. I just been getting a weird vibe from this team for the past few weeks.
Okay.
So similarly to the Bucks, I'm going to say, let's give them a little bit of time. Let's see how
Right.
they're vibing, and we'll see how they look down the line.
Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, if I'm going to talk about the Celtics, I definitely need to talk about Malcolm Brogdon some more. Like, I can't get enough Malcolm Brogdon. It's crazy how you could just take this guy who's been a career starter. I mean, he was the rookie of the year, maybe odd rookie of the year, but I mean, he's the rookie of the
Very
year.
odd. Yes.
He's been a career starter. I mean, he's damn near an all-star in Indiana. And then you
Yeah.
send him to Boston. You're like, hey, you're going to play 23 minutes a game. He's like, all right, I'm just going to do exactly what I do in
Just a
23
man.
minutes a game that I did. He's just like I like the per 36 stat for guys like that where they're like
Yeah.
really good player, could be playing starter minutes, but like not playing starter minutes. You do your per 36 on Malcolm Brogdon. He has the exact same stats as when he was in Indiana
Yeah.
for Boston per 36, but he's just playing 24 minutes a game because it's just like, yeah, sure. Like defensive player of the year, Marcus Smart, like let him play. Like, sure. He's a professional. He's a
Exactly.
pro's pro. He's like the Al Horford of point guards, and they
That
have the Al
that
Horford of Al
of
Horfords.
of Al
The
Horford.
five,
Yes.
yeah. So I mean, I really do like where the Celtics are at. Like you said, they got Jason and they got Jalen, the best duo in the NBA. I don't think it's really much of a debate unless you're talking about LeBron and AD rolling. I mean, you can never
Which
discount
just
them.
but you can never count them to be
Yeah.
to be
I
on the court.
mean,
We'll get to them at a later date. But
we'll get
right
to them another
now,
time.
I agree. I agree. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are probably the best duo in the NBA as
Yeah.
of right now. As of
Yeah,
right
as of
now.
right now, I agree. And we could roll into the next team, right, piggybacking off of that because another another duo that might be want to throw their hat into that top duo in the NBA conversation. Kyrie and KD are heating up, man. I mean, they're looking
Oh
good. I
yeah.
mean, Kyrie, we had a little bit of weirdness earlier in the season. I mean, it's Kyrie. What do you expect? I'm honestly
Exactly.
happy we got it in early this year. We got it in early. Now he's probably like, all right, I got my weird thing in. Like, I'm ready to
Yeah.
roll. I mean, I love me some Kyrie. I mean, we got Kyrie right here. So, we love Kyrie around here. But I mean, KD is just having maybe the best regular season of his career. I mean, damn near 10 years after he won the MVP. I mean, it's just
That's the
absurd. I
only
mean,
other season that could compete with that one, the
it
MVP
really
season.
is.
That's the only one that can compete with this one right now. I mean, it's really absurd what he's doing, coming off an Achilles tear not more than 2 3 years ago. Like
Right.
it's crazy, man.
He's really recaptured that form, if not surpassed it. I mean, he's incredible. And it's really interesting to see the way that this team has kind of fallen together around those two. I mean, you have like we like I mean, you say earlier in the season it was very shaky. Katie's coming off of this trade request, and you're just like, this is weird. Like this can't go well. Nash is kind of driving him into the ground a little bit. I mean, I don't know if it was necessarily Nash's fault, but definitely wasn't working there, personality wise, scheme wise. Something was off there. But I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you go from that point to have them having so many struggles, so much uncertainty. When's KD going to come back with that second trade request? Bring it back. But all of a sudden, they made a weird trade for Royce O'Neal, who all of a sudden is a 35-minute per game, like essential piece to their team. Ben Simmons is coming into form. Nick Claxton is number 10 in East All Star voting for the front court. Nick Claxton is building up a fan base out here. I mean, honestly, it's just very, very interesting to see the way that this team has come together around those two. And they really, in a weird way, it looked so off, but now you kind of see that maybe these were the perfect pieces around these guys all along. You got
Yeah.
anything to say about that?
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with everything you said. I just want to add in a couple more players into that conversation
Oh,
also.
yeah. Well,
I
I'm
mean,
talking about the starting
you
five, and you
have,
got plenty more out there. Yeah.
and I got plenty more. You talk about TJ Warren coming off of like 2 years of not playing basketball, comes out and he's an instant bucket again. Then you also got my favorite, U2 Watanabe,
Hmm.
who is shooting 50% from three, and he's just like the ultimate energy guy. Like Kevin Durant loves him. He's molding him into like a real NBA player
He really
after
is.
like 6 years in the league, 5 years in the league. He was on Toronto, I remember, and that wasn't very good for him. And he comes to this Nets team just out of necessity because they were very thin with all their injuries early in the season, and he's became a part of the team, which is awesome. It's one of those great success stories that you see. Now we'll see if he continues it throughout the season and many years down the line. But for right now, that's like one of my favorite stories just coming from the Nets.
No, you gotta love Utah's story, man. I mean, he, like you said, Raptors few years didn't really pop. Who knows if he was gonna stick around? And all of a sudden, he comes here, taking under KD's wing a little bit. I mean, he was leading the league in 3-point percentage at a point. I don't know if he's still up there, but I know he's definitely up there. But I don't know if he's still number one. But yeah, he's been playing great, man. And like you said, you got these other guys too. You got Seth Curry, who's just chilling on the bench 20 minutes a game. I mean, I know
Yeah.
me and you have talked about Seth a little bit. I don't know if this is necessarily the best fit for him, just because I mean, you could always use another shooter. You could never go wrong with another shooter. I mean, I always feel for the guy. I mean, I feel like he really found his spot with Philly. But he comes over to the Nets. He's still on a good team. He's doing good. He definitely doesn't. Uh, he's not as necessity. He's not as much of a necessity to their team as he was
Mm-hmm.
to the Sixers. But he's still in there. He's still putting off numbers off the bench. But you have Ben really, really coming to form. And something about Ben, like this is what I was saying to you earlier in the year. I was just like, dude, people got to give Ben a little bit of a break. It's like I mean, I've always had a little bit of a soft spot for Ben, but dude, if I didn't do something that I did as like my profession for 2 years, and I just like didn't do it at all for 2 years, and then I came back and did it, like I'd probably be a little rusty. So like
Yeah.
I'm glad we kind of let him get a few months to shake the rust off, and like he's really starting to roll. I mean, he's operating out of that high post. He's making nice pocket passes. He's playing defense. Him and Claxton have like suddenly become like one of the most formidable defensive front courts, which is very, very odd, but it's also like
Mm-hmm.
kind of makes sense. You have Royce O'Neal there, like I said, too, flanking these two superstars. I mean, enough can't be said about KD. I know we didn't really touch on him much. I know we kind of just glossed over it because it's Kevin Durant, man. It's a
It's Kevin.
LeBron James type of thing at this point. I
Exactly.
mean, it's just an inevitable. He's one of the few inevitables of the NBA that we have today. So, I mean, KD, all power to him, credit to him. But like, what's really fascinating here is Kyrie's turnaround. I mean, the way that this guy was dragged through the mud like the past few years, and like it's understandable. I mean, he made some questionable decisions. I mean, he's said some questionable things, but like when it comes down to it, dude, this guy is just a pure hooper. There's really not many people with more just like offensive, just like not even talent. It's like it's literally a gift. I mean, this guy is just
Yeah,
he's a professional scorer, and like it's just more efficient than ever. I mean, more eye popping than ever. It's really just been an absolute run for them right now. I mean, 14, 13 of the last 14, something like that, 12 of the last 13. I mean, they're just killing it. So really power to the Nets, man.
yeah, man. Like we said, the Nets have been amazing. Kevin Durant is on another level, which is crazy because he's Kevin Durant.
Mhm.
Kyrie Irving, no issues for like what 3 months now. We've had like 3 months straight of Kyrie Irving. That
Exactly.
that that's crazy. Now, just like the Bucks and the Celtics, there's going to be questions with the Nets going down the line. How is Ben Simmons going to hold up? Like we said, we've seen him come to his own, but again, he hasn't played basketball in 2 years. We got to see how his body holds up, especially coming off a back injury, which was always like up in the air. But
Right.
his back was definitely hurt. Like his back was definitely hurt. And then hope knock on wood, like Kevin Durant stays healthy. Like I love watching this man play basketball. He's just had a few nicks and bruises over the past couple of years, which is understandable for a guy who's in what his 15th NBA season, 16th
Right.
NBA season. Like, so we'll see how the Nets do down the line. But this next team I would like to talk about is the Philadelphia 76ers.
Uh,
Philadelphia 76ers have another amazing NBA player in the form
do
of
they?
Joel Embiid, in the form of
Oh,
Joel
okay.
Embiid.
Okay.
And they also have a former Net in James Harden.
There we go. Love the segue.
Yeah. They have two superstars in the NBA. James Harden, he's not what he used to be, but he's still a superstar in the NBA. He's still a great player.
If
Like
I could interject, like he's not what he used to be, but he's also not what he used to be in a good way. He's a different guy now. And I feel like the past couple of years might have been a little bit of a transitionary into that more, you know, grounded point guard role. But he's really
mhm.
thriving this year. But I don't want to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good. You're good. That was a great point. Like James Harden, he's been great in his role. He's been a facilitating point guard. He still gets his 20 a game, 23 a game, whatever it is. But James Harden has made it a point to get others involved, which is only going to go to benefit them as they go through the season because as the players feel more involved, they're going to put more effort in offensively, defensively, everything. I mean, Tyrese Maxey, who just got back from an injury recently, but he was a revelation early in the season. Him and James Harden in the backcourt was like dominant very early in the season. Then he goes out with the injury. James is in and out of the lineup. Joel's in and out of the lineup. He's out of the lineup right now again, but they've been holding on without him. Tobias Harris has been solid. He's not 35 million a year, but he's Tobias Harris. You know what you're getting from Tobias Harris. You're getting good shooting. You're getting good effort on the defensive end, even if he
Right.
doesn't have the greatest traits and the greatest tools. Like he's not a liability on defense. And then you got the bench pieces. They have Montrezl Harrell, who's been filling in for Joel admirably. Like no one's Joel Embiid, but Montrezl has done a good job in his role. You got Paul Reed. The Paul Reed fan club is I'm definitely part of the Paul Reed fan club. I think
You
I think he's
remember?
I think he's
Yeah.
a great energy player. I really do. He's not an all star by any means, but he's a great guy to have on your team. D'Anthony Melton. Can we talk about D'Anthony Melton for a second? D'Anthony Melton has been absolutely amazing this year. The Grizzlies gave him away for Danny Green, who hasn't. I don't think Danny Green has played, and I don't know if he's planning on playing. They just gave him away for nothing. D'Anthony Melton has been great for the Sixers, especially filling in for Tyrese Maxey and James Harden when they go out. You got Shake Milton. 76ers are a great basketball team.
They are.
But
And, I want to. Oh, wait. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, you
no,
got a butt?
no.
All right. There's a
But
butt. Okay. Okay. That's scary.
they're the,
Okay. Let's hear
they're
it.
the Philadelphia 76ers, and their coach's name is Doc Rivers. You
Oh,
can you
man.
can go on you can go on from there if you want.
No, yeah, I agree. It's all there on paper, but then you're right. It's just that, you just think about it, you're just like, but it is the Sixers, and it's just they're one of those teams that just has this aura around them. I guess it's recent playoff collapses, it's just the taste in our mouth from the past 5 years. But I mean, they're right there. And to your point with the DeAnthony Melton thing, that's what I was gonna kind of roll into here with that. Is this a trade team? Like, is this a trade team for you? Because DeAnthony Melton's kind of pushing their he's kind of pushing their I'm looking for the right word. He's kind of pushing the envelope here. And he's saying, like, I need more minutes. He's playing really good. They're playing really good when he's playing really good. Is this a trade team, or you think they're standing pat with what they got?
You know, I I've thought about the Sixers as a trade team. I really have. But I mean, you're not moving on from James Harden. You're not moving
Right.
on from Tyrese Maxey.
Yeah.
You're not moving on from Joel Embiid. Those are your top three assets right now. Tobias Harris, I feel like they've been trying to trade him for maybe 3 years, and no one's bit.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I've just never gotten the vibe that Tobias Harris is like a
Sought
valued
after.
asset in the
Yeah.
league. Yeah, like I mean, he's a good player, great player. A little overpaid, I don't think teams are really looking to move for him. Like you don't really have much else to move off from in there. I mean, you have PJ Tucker. You want PJ Tucker though for the playoffs. Like you do want PJ Tucker. Is Daniel House still there? Daniel House is there. I mean,
Daniel House is
there's
there.
there's not really much you can move off of. You just gotta make an effort to get Anthony Melton in those lineups a little
Yeah.
bit more, even if it's at the sacrifice of a PJ Tucker or Tobias Harris. You
Right.
can run some 3 or 4 guard lineups out there, and you can have success with it. I would honestly like to see that because D'Anthony doesn't need the ball in his hands like Harden and Maxey do. He can work off the ball. He's a great energy guy. He fills the lane, spots up. Like I do like what they have going there, and hopefully Doc can get it in order for the
Yeah.
playoffs.
Doc needs to get it together. But yeah, I agree. You think about a trade with this team, but there's really nothing there that's glaring. That's like really like looking you right in the face, like, oh, this is something that could move. But like you said, even Tobias, I mean, yeah, they've been trying to trade him for years, but like, I feel like this would be the worst time to trade him. He's like really hitting his stride with this team. He's
Yeah,
really found his role as that like fourth guy that's just going to give you that consistent 16 a game. So I agree. I think stand pat where they're at. I think they're doing good. They have to overcome that Philly, that Harden, that Embiid. I mean, it's a collection of things.
it's
It's
a
very scary.
collection.
I mean, it's Harden in the playoffs is not great, not
It's a
not great track record. Embiid in the playoffs, I mean, he's good when he can hold it together, but a lot of times he's breaking down. And then we don't need to even need to get
no,
into Doc Rivers.
no
Doc Rivers, I
reason, no
mean,
reason.
Google it if you don't know. I mean,
Dude,
it's just
if you don't
yeah,
know, then you don't know. Like I don't know what to
yeah,
tell you. You
yeah,
probably not
no,
the right podcast for you if you don't know about Doc Rivers and the NBA
and
playoffs.
yeah. So all right, so another team that's had a little bit of a, I guess, trickled playoff history, but championship in the recent, decade. We have the Cleveland Cavaliers. As we talked about before, we got some individual performances recently. There's a guy on that team that had a really big one, 71 points from Donovan Mitchell. And this trade is really just looking like one of those NBA trades that like really changes the trajectory of the whole league. I mean, honestly, I don't think he could have fallen into a better situation. Garland has really fallen behind as that, like, you are the man, like, I am your point guard. And I love to see that. I mean, you have Evan Mobley, who he could literally be like one of the transcendent players in the NBA, or he could just do what he's doing now for another 10 years. And like, that would be great too. I mean, the sky is the ceiling for that guy. Like, really, there is no limit on what he can be. And then you have your all-star center, Jared Allen, who's just like there. Like, he's just chilling, like literally doing all-star center things, blocking shots, grabbing rebounds. So this team is really well-rounded. I really like what they've been doing. Obviously, they're rolling. You know, I got it. I can't disclude them from this conversation of the top East teams. They're young, but like all the talent is there. It's really just about like if they're going to be ready come playoff time. They don't really have any experience. I mean, they had a play-in game last year. That's give or take. I mean, you could tell me you think that's playoff experience. It's not. So it's rare to see a first year playoff team kind of hit the ground running. But the possibility is there. They got the talent. You know, I like what I'm seeing from them. I really do. You got anything to say about them, Steve?
I completely agree with everything you said, Nick. I mean, that trade, putting Donovan Mitchell into the situation that you put him in, like it was a match made in heaven. It was a match made in heaven. You have two great rim protectors behind him in Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. I mean, you have Darius Garland, who's, in my opinion, I mean, I'm not gonna say for sure, but probably a top five point guard in the NBA right now. Like at the worst, top seven, top eight. Like, you know
Yeah,
what
I
I
would
mean?
not fault you for saying it. Yeah, no, definitely up there.
Darius Garland, and then you have a mismatch of weird pieces on the bench that have just like worked. Kevin
Yeah.
Love, Kevin Love has been
Oh my God.
amazing. Kevin Love has been absolutely amazing. Chetty Usman, you know, he's just doing his thing. He's doing his thing like always. I mean, he's shooting the ball well. He's a nice connecting piece off the bench. Uh, you have Ricky Rubio coming back from injury still. I would love to see Ricky Rubio like get some minutes with this team later on in the season and like really contribute. Because the last time we saw Ricky Rubio, what was he? He was like 16 points, 8 assists a
He was
game.
doing great. I mean, I think he was starting with with Garland up in the
Yes,
backcourt, and like we were
yes, he
like,
was.
who would have thought Ricky Rubio is your starting shooting guard in 2021 or whatever it was?
It was
No, yeah, I
so
definitely would like to
crazy.
see some of that. Yeah, I mean, Ricky Rubio rekindled that chemistry with K Love. You know, they got it rolling. You know,
Mm-hmm.
those T Wolves days. But yeah, I mean, this team, when we talk trade teams, I
Yeah.
love what they have going on, but I can't help but feel like they need a wing. They need one more wing, maybe a bigger wing. I mean, like you said, Karis LeVert will randomly have 50 points, but then the next game he'll have like six. So I mean, Karis LeVert's great to have, but like he's definitely the kind of guy where I would say like you could float him and you could get someone that's really what you need. I mean, because you have a scoring guard in Donovan Mitchell. If Donovan Mitchell's there, Karis LeVert's great to have, but like you're getting 40 from that shooting guard spot if you need it from Donovan Mitchell, like on any given night. So
Mm-hmm.
if I'm the Cavs, I'm looking. I mean, they could potentially be a Bogdanovich team. I know we talked about Bogdanovich with the Cavs, and you weren't necessarily enamored. You don't know if he's the right guy. I kind of agree. I think you need someone with a little bit more defensive chops there. So they got. I think they got to find that one more connecting piece. But as of now, I really like what I'm seeing from them. Donovan Mitchell literally couldn't be better than he is now. He's having the best season of his career. He's really solidifying himself as a top 10 player in this league, and maybe a guy good enough to be your guy for the championship. So we'll see. I mean, definitely like what I'm seeing. Definitely like everything they got going. Like you said, Kevin Love is just six man of the year material year in year out. I mean, he's just been a pro's pro. Couldn't say enough about what K Love's doing.
If I might
So
interject just about K
of
Love
course,
right
yeah.
there, 2 years ago, he like wasn't even playing for this team because he wanted to be
Less than
traded.
2 years, right? Less
He
than two
wanted to
years
be
even.
traded. He didn't want anything to do with this organization
He was
until
throwing things at people. Like he was done. He was totally
he
out the door.
was
And
completely out the door.
yeah,
And now he's completely bought in, which only speaks to like the
the culture
level that
there,
the organization has reached and the culture. Like
right?
it's amazing. It's amazing.
It
It
really
makes me
is.
real. It makes me really happy because I'm a fan of these Cavs. I really am a fan of these Cavaliers. Like
No, I agree.
I love
Totally
to
agree.
watch them, and I love all the players on the team. And I agree with you; they're a trade team. They need one, you know, physical, brooding wing, that can hit a three, that can, take care of a tough defensive assignment on the wing. You got Isaac Okoro. I love Isaac Okoro. He can't hit a jump shot if his life depended on it, man. Like he's been terrible shooting the ball,
Yeah,
and all they need from him is just like 35, 36% from three, but it's more like 30, 31%, and that's just
right.
not going to get it done. And then, Chetty Osman, like he doesn't have the defensive prowess that you need on the wing. He's a solid, fun guy off the bench, but he's not a starter in this league. Someone that I've been thinking about for them as well. OG Anunoby has been shopped to every team in the league. It's not happening. OG isn't happening for you guys. I'm sorry. Jay Crowder is a very interesting name. Me and you have spoke about Jay Crowder like just earlier today, and Jay Crowder, like he's in a weird situation where he's not playing. He doesn't want to be with the team. The team doesn't want to be with him. Like it's a very weird situation. I just don't know how he hasn't been moved already, unless teams are just waiting for the trade deadline to, try to get him cheaper or try to get him like at the last second. I don't know if the Suns are waiting to trade him or if other teams are waiting to offer for him, but that's a guy that I really look to go for if I'm the Cavs. He's been in that organization before. I'm pretty sure he may have been on that championship team with LeBron in 2015.
He might have been. No, he was traded there after the championship. He was in the Kyrie trade, so he
Yes,
was he
yes,
was
yes,
shortly
yes.
after that. Yeah,
But aside, Jay Crowder has always been a winner. He's a winning player. He's a great defensive player. He's hard nosed. He's tough. He gets after you on the defensive side, and he's a little streaky on offense, but he's better than Isaac Okoro right now. So that's the guy that I look for from the Cavs.
I really like that fit as that wing that they really need. And honestly, I mean, today's day and age, I think of Crowder like more as a four, but at the same time, I think it works that he's
Mm-hmm.
not that nimble type of wing because they have Mobley. Mobley's a freak. I mean, he could fly around the court. So you kind of supplement that with the quick guards, Mitchell. I mean, D Mitch is like has literally like he's the spider. I mean, he has crazy wingspan. He's so athletic. Garland's, he can move. So I mean, honestly, I think Jay would definitely fit with this crowd. I do like that fit a lot. And so that brings us to who you got, man? Out of these five, what do you got? Let me hear it.
So with the teams constructed as is right now,
As is, yeah. We're definitely gonna have some move. There's gonna be some
yeah,
trades. Like we said,
there's
we got a
gonna
few
be some
trade teams in
moves.
here. There's a
There's
few
gonna be
trades.
some moves.
I mean, Crowder is even the guy the Bucks could be looking at. I mean, I
Yeah.
feel like a trade's coming for the Bucks. Celtics will probably stand pat. Nets could make something happen, but they've been moving a lot of stuff around. So I feel like they're probably just hitting their chemistry stride. Sixers, not much there, but these are some potential trade teams right here. So as currently constructed, yeah. Who you got?
Yeah. Honestly, I'm gonna go with the Brooklyn Nets. I'm gonna go with the Brooklyn Nets.
Oh man,
I can't believe I'm
wow,
saying it myself. I can't
swinging for
believe
the
I'm saying it.
fences,
I
dude.
can't believe I'm saying it myself. But with Kyrie Irving playing basketball, Kevin Durant better than ever. I mean, and then all the supplementary pieces that we've already spoken about: Ben Simmons, T.J. Warren, Seth Curry, everybody, Claxton, whoever it is. All these guys, like, they just fit so well around Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, and really look great to me all year. Not all year, but since Jock Vaughn has come into
Well, this year, yeah, all year, all 2023
like
for sure. Definitely all
like
2023.
yeah, 2023. You're right. You're right. You're right. But if it comes down to it, you remember not so long ago the Bucks and the Nets played in the Eastern Conference semis,
Yep.
and it's been said a million times the Nets
This
were
this far,
this
this far
far,
away. Not even
this
this far
far
away. Yep.
from going to the Eastern Conference Finals, where they, in my opinion, would have went on to the NBA Finals. So I think the Nets come out of this situation as of right
Okay.
now. This can
Okay.
all change, but that's my choice. What about you, Nick?
Okay, like I know my facial reaction said I was shocked by your answer, but is it weird to say that I think I was gonna say the Nets too, man? Like I was gonna go with the Nets too, but for argument's sake, I mean, we just touched on why. I mean, I definitely agree with everything you said there. I think they're definitely right up there, and I would not be shocked. I don't even think I'd be surprised to see them in the finals this year. They are really hitting their stride. Like you said, Jock Vaughn has done an incredible job. Great beard, great guy, great
Amazing
coach.
beard.
So he's doing great. I love it. I'm happy for all of them there. Happy to see Kyrie doing well. I'm happy to see all the controversy, somewhat in the past. I'm glad Katie's happy where he's at. If I got to go with a different team, I mean, I'm really, really close between the Bucks and the Celtics. Like, if I don't say one, I'm gonna be like, how did I not say this team? But they're both so good. But like you said earlier, when it comes down to it, man, give me Giannis, bro.
Yeah.
Give me Giannis.
Yeah.
I mean, exactly what I thought when you said Nets. I was like, well, I'm probably gonna roll with the Bucks then. Brought me back to that semifinals, man. That was it. That was the finals that year. As many people said, they're like, oh, this is the NBA finals. Remember that?
Yeah.
Because we had the West wasn't really up to par. We got a good finals with the Suns and the Bucks, but at the end of the day, man, I'm seeing the Bucks really being that team that could really pull it out. Like I said, you need Middleton to get back rolling, but we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Get
Mhm.
him rolling. I know we said as currently constructed, but they got a move to make for sure. But I mean, even as currently constructed, man, they just got to get their guys rolling. They got Drew Holiday's gotten better every year since leaving Philly. Honestly, I mean, it's the
It's
craziest
really
thing.
crazy.
It was really crazy. I mean, he's just getting better with age, which seems
And
like the common theme these days. But they're really doing well. Like I said, they got those other guys. They got Grayson Allen. They got Pat Connaughton. They got Bobby Portis. They got Brooke Lopez. So they really have everything they need there. I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, man. This team has been up there. They would have been there last year if it wasn't for injuries. So let's say there's no injuries this year. I got to go with the Milwaukee Bucks.
I mean I don't disagree. I really think this is real debate. It's a debate that could be had for any team, any one of these five teams. That's why we're speaking about them. They're the top five contenders in the East.
Right.
Those are the five teams that we think are really playing for the Eastern Conference Finals and for the right to represent the Eastern Conference in the NBA championship. And it's going to be a dogfight from here on out. Like it's really going to be awesome to
Right.
watch. But I can't wait. I can't wait for all of this to go down.
Yeah.
Like you said before, this is normally the most boring part of the NBA season,
Right.
and we have a crazy event happening every night, whether it's a game, a player performance, anything. Like it's really awesome where the league is right now and where all these five teams are right now.
Totally agree. Couldn't say it better myself. Like it really just all comes back to the NBA is really in an amazing place right now. I mean, we have countless things to watch for every night, and we're in the middle of January. We're about to hit that 41 game mark. I mean, we're pretty much right there halfway through the season. So yeah, man, for sure. I mean, the East is looking great. I mean, yeah. I mean, if I had to really break it up a little bit more in the East, I'd say you have that top three: the Bucks, the Celtics, and the Nets. And then
Yeah,
I'd say maybe there's a little bit of a step below the Sixers and Cavs. I'm a little weary on them. I think I'm a little more confident Bucks, Celtics, Nets. But hey, I mean, as we picked it today, I mean, depending on seeding, I know as the seeds are now, I think the Bucks and the Nets would be 2 and 3, so they wouldn't technically be able to play in the Eastern Conference Finals. But we'll disregard that. I mean, I'd say our East Finals right now we picked is Bucks, Nets. Really could go either way, man. I think I
yeah.
think those are definitely two great teams that could get in there into the finals, represent the East. But all right, man. I think that wraps it up for today's episode. We're going to touch on the West, the top of the West next week. So yeah, it was great to talk to you. Great to catch up and be watching some good games later tonight.
You too, Nick. You too, Nick. Yeah, I can't wait to watch some games tonight. I'm probably about to go turn on the Nets and Heat.
Oh yeah,
Probably a pretty fun game for an NBA Sunday night. You know what I mean?
exactly. Yeah, Sunday night in the NBA has become a prime time. I mean, you got Kevin Durant liable to go for 50 tonight. So all right,
Yes,
man.
sir.
Take care, bro. Good to talk to you,
You
man.
too, Nick. You too, Nick.